situation. Fundamental shots. They've got to be able to make those. I mean, and we don't have anybody. When Devontae doesn't make shots, this team really struggles to shoot. They did not score a single basket outside of the lane until there was 5 minutes to go in the game. That's virtually impossible.
Well, welcome everybody to After the Game with Todd Leary, of course, coming to you live from Yogi's here in Bloomington, brought to you by Best Beer Incorporated and by Remax Acclaim Properties, Henry Nethery, 812-332-3001. If you need a property in the Bloomington area, Henry Nethery's your guy. Pick him up. Indiana may need a place to stay tonight after that performance. Not a good one. We were wondering what we would see. We talked about it on the show today, Todd. Indiana traveling on the road. The road has been a very, very difficult place to play in the Big Ten this season. We've seen it with Michigan State going on the road and get hammered by Purdue. They barely scored 40. You saw tonight Indiana barely getting to 50, and that was almost a gift. They just could not score the ball tonight. Didn't get much from anybody. It was a scattered performance, to say the least.
Yeah, I mean, this is a game. Rutgers didn't even play well. I mean, this is not a game where they got beat. I mean, Indiana truly could not score. It's as simple as that. I mean, this is it's frustrating because it's almost a fundamental skill that these guys are not able to do. I mean, they took pretty good shots. I wasn't really disappointed with the shots. I mean, I thought Joey Brunk played pretty good tonight. I mean, for the most part, I thought Jerome Hunter came in and played fairly solid. But again, I look all the way across the board, and he plays 20 minutes. He shoots 1 for 5 from the field. So he's got 2 points. He's 0 for 2 from the three-point line. He did grab 3 rebounds, but he's got 3 turnovers. Like, I mean, that's too many minutes for him to play. Demezi, I don't understand what's going on. I mean, he comes in and plays 4 minutes, shoots 4 threes. None of them were even really looked good. He didn't look confident. The bench tonight was terrible. I mean, Armand Franklin plays 5 minutes, does virtually nothing all the way across the board, doesn't even get in the stat category, misses his only shot that he takes. Trace Jackson-Davis, I'll tell you, part of the thing that's the most disheartening right now is Trace Jackson-Davis looks lost. He looks overmatched. He looks out-physicaled. He doesn't look like he can play in the Big Ten. And I'm not trying to be mean. I'm just literally saying. You look at his Big Ten stats, and I've kind of been saying all along it's ridiculous that Kofi Coburn gets all that credit from Illinois for being one of the best big men and the best freshman big men in the Big Ten. What about Trace Jackson-Davis? Well, I couldn't be farther from the truth. I mean, Trace Jackson-Davis right now is proving that this game's too physical for him and too fast for him. He can't. I mean, he has 4 points in this game on 2 of 6 shooting. He has 6 rebounds, and that's good. I shouldn't discount that. But I mean, he got dominated in this game. He couldn't guard anybody defensively. Offensively, he was pretty much a non-factor. He looks tentative out there, and that's all of Indiana looked tentative, except for Joey Brunk. I thought Joey Brunk was the kind of the bright light in all of it.
Yeah, when you need that guy.
I'm sorry, I shouldn't say that. Justin Smith. Yeah. Justin Smith played great. He really did. I mean, he was going to the basket. He made some shots that. Here's what I like about that. Justin Smith played 36 minutes tonight. Joey Brunk, 32 minutes. Finney, 32 minutes. That's what you need to see. I mean, Indiana went 11 deep on the floor tonight. Not a chance in the world they should have. There's no way Deron Davis should have ever seen the floor. There's no way that Demezi Anderson should have ever seen the floor. There's no way Jerome Hunter should have played 20 minutes.
Justin Smith gets a lot of grief, so tonight I'm going to make sure that he gets a lot of credit tonight. He was the team's leading scorer with 15 points, 6 of 10. Only 1 of 3 behind the arc, thank goodness. But that shows you he's where he needs to be. He's in the paint. He's in the 17-foot range, trying to get some shots down. And that you'll take 60% all day long. 7 rebounds to go along with that. I mean, you're not going to ask for anything more than that from Justin Smith. No, Justin
Smith played good. He was aggressive. The shots he took were good. He was getting in the lane. Justin Smith and Joey Brunk looked like they were ready to play tonight, excited to play, and played hard. And I thought they played well. I don't think anyone else matched that level of intensity. And shots. When the shots are not going down, you've got to figure out other ways to score and get down the floor. Indiana, I know they were in the double bonus at the end of the half, but that's only because it got to that point, where everybody was fouling. But this one, most people didn't expect them to win.
Yeah, this is
Who we got? Who am I shouting now? Got it. We got you. I got you.
Adam.
It's not over the speaker. It's just online.
Getting some shout-outs here at Yogi's. Welcome. Of course, we're coming to you live from Yogi's after the game with Todd Leary as Indiana takes on the I almost forgot where we were playing tonight. Rutgers Scarlet
Piscataway, the thing you had to say?
Piscataway, New Jersey. The Scarlet Rutgers Knights. Indiana goes down in a loss tonight, 59-50, in a game that you thought that they were going to win. I knew it was going to be not that you didn't know it was going to be a tough place to play, but I knew it was going to be a tougher place to play than people were giving Indiana credit. They're giving them a lot of credit for that win on Saturday, and I'm like, you still got to go on the road and do this.
Yeah, here's the thing, though. I don't think anybody was really saying Indiana would win this game. I think you were right on board with everybody in saying, it's going to be a tough one, and I don't think that they will probably win. I think if they played it, if they play to their potential, they win this game easily. Rutgers did not even play well. Rutgers was 9 of 18 from the free throw line. They only shot 4 of 15 from the three-point line. They shot 46% overall, so they were pounding it inside. Indiana turned it over. Here's an alarming statistic. I've been watching this the whole ball game. Indiana had 6 assists on 19 field goals. First of all, the 19 field goals is not near enough, but more importantly, 6 assisted baskets. That's.
You mean the first half?
That's overall.
No. You know how many in the first half?
2. I do know.
2 assists in the first half.
Game. I know.
2 assists in the first half.
And to give you a point of reference, 14 assists overall for Rutgers, and that's not even a lot. They had 23 made field goals. They had 14 assists. 6 assists on 19 made field goals. First of all, Indiana only shoots 31% from the field. So, you look at that and you're frustrated with that part of it, but only 6 field goals. That just tells you they were not, it was a lot of one-on-one. They were feeding it inside. That's not a bad part. Joey Brunk touched it a bunch.
Jeff Thomas wants to know, TJD barely played the last 10 minutes. Why?
Yeah, he was out. He was being outmanned, out-physical. Defensively, he was getting destroyed. Every time they threw it inside, they were pushing him around like he was a freshman. And that's pretty much happened in a lot of the Big Ten games, to be honest with you. I love Trace Jackson-Davis. He's going to be, the best player on this team overall. But he's getting manhandled in the Big Ten. There's no question about it.
There's a lot of learning. There's a big learning curve.
Defensively is a huge adjustment. I think offensively, honestly, he's trying to get too close to the basket. Our big guys, when we make a fake, so when we shot fake, Joey Brunk, Deron Davis, Trace Jackson-Davis, when they shot fake, it's almost always a block shot or a turnover or a missed shot. They never score when that's the case. Our guys need to be decisive with it. When they get it, make your move and go up and try to score. If you get it blocked, you get it blocked. Coaches very seldom ever throw a fit or get upset over guys getting their shot blocked. As long as you're being aggressive.
What do these guys have to do? Joey Brunk, Justin Smith, Deron Davis. What do they have to do to help Trace Jackson-Davis get through and learn through this Big Ten season?
Get him the ball in areas where, so if Indiana can come down, when you run your offense and you get it around and then you chuck it inside and everybody's staring at the guy that catches it inside, that's one-on-one, that's physical basketball. That's where, as a freshman, he's going to get overpowered the most of anything. And so coming down the floor, getting it reversed really quick, getting it to him and letting him make his move right away, that's where he can be more effective. He's very strong. For a freshman, he's very strong, especially with the basketball. And rebounds, once he gets it, you're not getting it away from him. But physically, as far as somebody backing him down, they can move him wherever they want to. And they're doing it. The Johnson kid for Rutgers, he's big and kind of physical and whatever, but he's not a monster. Kofi Coburn is a monster. That dude is huge, big, physical, strong. He will push TJD all over the place if he wants to. I mean, Ochuru from Minnesota. I mean, he will move Trace Jackson-Davis all over the court if he wants to.
Shannon says, terrible shooting, frustrating to watch. Rutgers played like crap, and we only lost by 9. We should have won by 20. John Pence, we just can't make shots, plain and simple. That's 2 games in a row where we have seen some easy shots being missed. A lot of easy shots.
Shooting 2 for 19 from 3. And so really look at the number. I mean, we talked about earlier. They were, I think, 0 for 14 or 0 for 15. I think 0 for 14 they made. They're 1 for 15. And so, you can't expect to be in a game being down 0 for 14. What I tell you at halftime or just after half. How many teams across the country have gone a whole game without making a three-pointer? Because I really thought Indiana, they weren't even, it's not like their shots were rimming in and out. They weren't even close. And they started out not being close. So, until this team is capable of making some jump shots, I'm never going to say this team is going to be, they're going to win games by making three-pointers. I'm not going to say that. But you've got to be adequate. I told you in the last ball game, when they made 6 threes and only shot 12 against Ohio State, that's a great ratio. Only shooting 12 for this team is right on. If they can make 5 out of 12, I think that's a great number for them.
Absolutely. You're listening to After the Game with Todd Leary, of course, Indiana at Rutgers today up in Piscataway, New Jersey, as the Hoosiers fall to the Scarlet Knights 59-50. Coming to you from Yogi's here in Bloomington, brought to you by Best Beer Incorporated. Have yourself a nice ice cold Bud Light or Budweiser or what was it?
Corona, McUltra,
whatever you like. But we appreciate the guys, and of course we cannot forget our friend Henry Nethery from Remax Acclaimed Properties, 812-332-3001. You're looking for a place in the Bloomington area? There you go. There's the guy to take care of it for you. Cheryl said that John Pence can't take them home. Not sure what that. We're going to skip that one. Point guard play is terrible and coaching is terrible. Sorry. Well,
I don't know what the coach can do. I'm not trying to argue with him. I'm not trying to say that everything is great.
Because at some point I'm just saying he's got to take a lot on his shoulders.
At 0 for 14 from the three-point line, what can you do? What can you do? You can't go out there and make it for you. Everyone's going to say, well, you recruited these players. True. Agree. Totally agree.
I was going to say recruit a shooter.
You have to. They have to. They've got some guys coming in that can knock down shots. So that'll be a difference. But they're going to, they're going to be freshmen next year. They're going to be freshmen. We're going to deal with that. So, it is.
The truth, Robert Carter says I think we really need shooters. Play with their hearts. And that skipped on me. Now I missed it. Oh well.
Yeah,
Josh says, Todd, who besides Justin? God, these things keep moving. Stop moving. Who besides Justin didn't get dominated tonight?
Joey. Joey played pretty good. Other than that, those two guys. No one. I didn't think Finney ever looked comfortable on the floor. Al, he's 2 for 9. He scores 10 points. He's 5 for 5 from the free throw line. Indiana was 10 for 12 from the free throw line.
They did good at the free throw line. They didn't get there enough.
The percentage is great.
They didn't get there enough.
Yeah, they didn't even sniff the bonus in the first half. Not even close. This is a team that I don't want to say lives and dies by getting to the free throw line, but they never got to the position where they forced Rutgers to have to foul. And that's just...
They let Rutgers control everything about this game tonight.
Yeah, when the shots are not going down, you've got to figure out other ways to score. And sometimes you just got to be creative and you got to manufacture points. And that's what they needed to do tonight. And, it's a road game, so it's difficult. It's even more difficult. But what are you going to do? You've got to play road games. You've got to figure out a way to go on the road and score some baskets and make some easy shots. I don't think, how many shots can you remember in this game tonight that were mid-range shots? Like how many 12 to 15 foot jumpers?
Not as many as the other night. The other night they were I don't
think there was any made ones. I'm pretty sure of this. I know they didn't make a field goal outside of the lane until the 5-minute mark of the game.
Well, they didn't shoot the ball very well, that's for sure.
And so I am pretty sure that they didn't make any mid-range jump shots. No shots were made outside of the lane and inside of the three-point line. The 2 threes that were made are garbage. Those don't even count. Rob made one. Al made one. They're garbage. They were with 5 minutes to go. The game was over. They were already over 15. So those don't even count. And, you know, you can't win. I mean, we can sit here all night long and talk about, I don't like the assist number. That's alarming. That can't be the case. But along with that, you cannot shoot the basketball like this and expect to win. How many other things do we need to talk about?
That's it. I mean, you can't shoot the ball that poorly. We talked about this when they beat Ohio State, when they were shooting the ball poorly and not scoring. Talked about how lucky they were to get through that situation because that's not going to be the case later on, and it was right here today.
I mean, they held Rutgers. I mean, they end up with 59 points, but we were fouling them at the end, and they were making, they were having to go to the free throw line. I mean, they probably, had this been a real close game and we weren't fouling at the end, they were probably going to be in that 53-point range, 53 to 55-point range. And when you look at that, if you can't beat a team you're holding to 53 to 55 points, I mean, obviously you don't deserve to win, but I mean, you're not going to beat very many people with that being the case.
Bill thinks that Rutgers was too physical for Indiana.
I mean, I wouldn't say they were too physical. I mean, there was some possessions where they dominated Indiana, no doubt about it. Here's a good example. Okay, it's a nothing play. It doesn't really matter. But Geo Baker driving down the lane and dunking on Indiana. Okay, the dunk, it was awesome. It was cool. I get all of that. But what it really showed me was they were comfortable and they were physical, and when they were going in the lane, they weren't shooting any teardrops up over the top of us. They were trying to go in there and put us in the basket right along with them and right along with the ball. And so that's kind of the difference in mentality. I thought Justin Smith played aggressive. I loved some of the moves he made going to the basket tonight, him finishing in the lane. But I'll tell you, you get him and you get other guys to play with that same kind of level of focus and intensity. Justin Smith
and hitting the shots.
Yeah, I mean, this is one of Justin Smith's best games. I truly feel that way. I mean, he took a three-pointer. He almost was kind of forced to take one three-pointer. He took it. But like I said, I told you the other day, I'll let him shoot one of those if he's going to be able to finish in the lane like he's been doing.
He got moved on me again, but so Todd, we may not expect to win every game, but we expect to play hard and make some shots. Tonight was awful. Yeah, they haven't been shooting the ball.
The alarming part is,
but I don't know that effort was a problem.
It wasn't. I thought they played fairly hard. They didn't play that smart. That's a for sure. I mean, I agree with that. They can definitely play a lot smarter. I mean, you had 16 turnovers in a game that wasn't really pressuring you that much. So, I mean, they weren't forced turnovers. But the alarming part is you take these stats, you can't take these stats and go on the road and go to Nebraska even this weekend and win. Like you can't take 2 for 19 on the road and expect to go win. It won't happen. You can't only make 10 free throws in a game and expect to go on the road and win.
They're not getting any guard play either. Any production from the
Archie Miller's been saying this all along. Our backcourt is letting us down. I mean, and tonight's a good example of it. When Rob Finney played really well in the Ohio State game, they win.
You've got someone stepping up. Tonight there was no one.
Tonight there was no one. I mean, Al Durham didn't play well. I mean, look at it overall. Al Durham didn't play well. Rob Finney didn't play well. Devontae didn't play well. Armand barely played, so you can say he didn't play well. I mean, no one in the backcourt had a game that I think you would come out and say that they played well. I mean, they played hard. They wanted to win. I wouldn't say that they were not focused. They just went. You can't have those numbers and expect to win. There's no two.
Kentucky lost, by the way, if that makes anyone feel better. I thought that it might.
You know what? I would love to say it doesn't, but for some reason it does.
They lost to South Carolina.
After having the lead, no, it was a road game.
Alan wants to know, why is Devontae bringing up the ball? He should be the 2. He's
because it's positionless. There's no such thing.
Casey O'Leary, how are you? Eric Draven says this is the most frustrating 13 and 14.
Yeah, I get some of that. There's some frustration with this team.
But there's a lot worse things to be frustrated about. I mean, being 13 and 4 is, or
Yeah, but I mean, at 13-4, I think what they're saying is, we should be happier with 13-4 than with what we are. And after a game like this, I know they're 13-4, but it's hard to feel confident. It's hard to think about this team being able to go to go to Nebraska and win. I mean, I really thought even if they didn't win this game, it would be because Rutgers did something extraordinary, and they didn't. They didn't even come close. They didn't do anything. They didn't do anything really good. They were average.
And the fact that we know that they don't have a shooter, they're not a shooting team. We know this. This is not breaking news here. You got a long season to go yet. We're barely into the Big Ten season, and there's going to be a lot of tough places to play, a lot of tough games. And when you don't have shooting, you're really missing a lot without shooting.
Well, shooting can make up for a lot of mistakes. And so, like here's an example.
Or poor play.
I don't know how to say this kid's name. Mulcahy, Mulcahy, the kid that had the headband on the other team. Mulcahy, he's a freshman, okay? He only has 3 points in this ballgame, but he made a huge three. I mean, he made a three that sent it from, I think, 10 to 13 or 7 to 10.
That was a big moment.
In that first half, and you know what? He's a freshman. He probably, I'm just going to straight up say there isn't a chance in the world he would get recruited by Indiana.
That was a difference maker of a moment.
It pushed the lead out to where Indiana had to call a timeout. They had to get things refocused and get them going. I mean, it was, the kid only scored 3 points in the whole game.
And you talk about games, how they turn. Indiana had just had an opportunity to take it the other direction, take the score the other direction and make it a much closer game. As a matter of fact, they were, at one point, they were within, they could have got it to 2 points.
Well, Indiana started the game out. Obviously, everyone knows the start. They were down 12-0, so they don't score in the first 5 minutes of the ball game. They ended the half on a 10-2 run on the bad side of it, so they gave up a 10-2 run to end the half. They had a 21-20 lead and had the ball 3 possessions in a row to extend that lead out and didn't score on any of them. And so, obviously, at some point, Rutgers is going to score a couple field goals, and they did. They went on a run. So they end the half that way, and then we talked about it. They had to call a timeout 5 minutes into the second half because they hadn't scored again. So drought. I know I'm just going to keep repeating the same thing over and over again, that you can't win these games, especially on the road, when you have droughts like that. They didn't do anything positive to make up for those.
Michael wants to know, how's the whole Big Ten that bad on the road? I don't know if they're that bad. I think that it's just that tough.
Yeah, I mean, there are, who's the best, who would you say is the best offensive team in the Big Ten?
It changes from week to week.
It does, I know, I agree.
I mean, it was Ohio State, then it was Michigan State. Maybe it's Maryland right now. I don't know.
Offensive only. I mean, I would probably say Ohio State's the best offensive team in the Big Ten. I mean, the two Wesson brothers.
The team that has lost 4 consecutive Big Ten games.
Well, they just won one, though, so they're back. They're back on the winning side, but they're a team that struggles. Everybody struggles to score the ball. I mean, they came to Indiana and scored, what was it, 54 points, 52 points, or whatever at Indiana?
Is that good play, or is that just a bunch of mediocre play?
I mean, honestly, a lot of it is, I think throughout the whole country, we're seeing guys struggle to shoot the ball. We're seeing poor shooting all over the nation right now, pretty much. I mean,
terrible shooting.
And the Big Ten,
from a percentage-wise,
I don't want to say the Big Ten is the worst and a big reason for it, but it is. It's not helping us.
Just for you folks at home, back in the day, back when Todd was playing, he had probably 6 guys on the team that shot 40%.
Over 42 or 3%.
But now the three-point line was 19.9 then, so now it's 2 feet difference. Definitely different now, and a tougher shot. But the shooting percentage average is now down around 33%.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a huge drop.
And you've got how many guys? I don't mean in practice. Okay, I don't mean in high school. I mean at the college level. What you would say right now. How many guys are capable of making 3-pointers in a game for Indiana? In a game situation, how many guys would you classify right now are capable of making shots? Devontae, Finney, Al Durham, name another one. I can't come up with any more. There's not another guy on the team I would allow to shoot a three-pointer.
I mean, Franklin's shooting probably, 16%?
Yeah.
Jerome Hunter is probably shooting 15%.
15%. Demezy's under 20%. Justin Smith, 20%. I mean, where do you go?
I will say this, Justin Smith had a wide open three and backed off of it.
Hey, he took a three tonight. The shot clock was somewhat running down. He kind of had to take it, and I didn't even mind the shot he took. I told you before, I thought he earned an extra one. I think he could have shot another one tonight. He earns a three-pointer attempt. Here's the bad part. He's a better three-point shooter than Armand Franklin, Demezy Anderson, Jerome Hunter, Race Thompson. Did I say Armand Franklin? I mean, he's better than all of them. So he's probably our fourth best three-point shooter. That's my point. That's how bad that is.
Coach can't make the shots. The players got to make the shots.
100%. That is a fact. That's a fact. You know, some of this, if they're not getting the shots, then I blame the coaches. If they're not making the shots, then I blame the players. And they've got, hey, you know what? It's time to quit talking about it and sack up and get your butt in the gym, become a gym rat, and shoot till your arm falls off.
Mark says we got a great sponsor, Best Beer Incorporated of Bloomington.
Mark is on the money.
IU fans are going to need a lot of that this year.
Mark is on the money. Hey, he's not kidding.
Coming to you live from Yogi's after the game with Todd, Leary. Of course, Indiana on the road today as they travel to Piscataway, New Jersey to take on the Scarlet Knights of Rutgers in a 59-50 loss for the Hoosiers on the road in the Big Ten. Not a huge surprise. I know a lot of people wanted to see Indiana come out of there with a win. Get a road win is tough in the Big Ten, as we've talked about all year long, and it's going to continue to be that way. Indiana stays on the road. Now they've got to go off to Lincoln, Nebraska to take on a team that Fred Hoiberg has got playing well. They came to Indiana last time. They gave Indiana all that they could handle. Yep. They went back home and beat a Purdue team that just turned around and beat a really good Michigan State team.
Yep.
So again, a tough game on the road coming up.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, hey, folks, get your comments in early because there's no way we're going to make it an hour on this show here tonight. There's just not enough to talk about. All I can do is keep repeating the fact that they didn't make shots. So, we got about another 15 minutes worth of me being able to tell you why they couldn't make shots, and that's going to be about it. This is a team. This is a game that I think a lot of people saw this coming. I saw a lot of Indiana fans making comments today on social media about how difficult this game was going to be. You've been saying all week, this is not your grandpa's Rutgers team. It's not. It's a better place to play. They had that game sold out all week long. They don't sell out every game, so that is an anomaly for them. They want to beat Indiana. This is one of the games they mark on the calendar. They're all basketball people. These guys are all basketball kids. They've grown up watching Assembly Hall on TV, watching Indiana on CBS. They came to play. They were ready to prove something tonight. And they didn't even play that well. They played well enough and decent. Okay? They kept it at a position where Indiana was struggling. And they did what they needed to do to win, which wasn't that much.
Martin says, Archie says we're a good shooting team. Does the dismal shooting indicate that something is happening between the ears? They're not a good shooting team.
Yeah,
I don't care what Archie says.
How am I going to say that?
They're not a good shooting team.
They're not. I mean, Demezy Anderson is not a good three-point shooter. He wasn't in high school. He's not in college. Jerome Hunter, I've not seen him. He's not proven to me that he's a good three-point shooter, so I don't know why he's shooting him. Devontae Green's a good shooter. In a night like tonight, Devontae Green has no points. He's 0 for 4 from the field. He is 0 for 3 from the three-point line. It's in his head. We talked about it. What might happen if you put him on the bench? He came in and still played pretty good in the Ohio State game, so it didn't affect him. It didn't bother him. Tonight, never looked comfortable. He couldn't get in the rhythm. He never looked like he was a part of the offense, and never looked like he was comfortable out there. I think they're still searching for.
Jeffrey says they're playing scared.
Scared? I don't know. I don't understand that. That's like people saying they were afraid. I never understand scared or afraid out there. Afraid of what? Scared of what? Like, I don't understand that. They're not scared of making mistakes because they all play. I mean, heck, Indiana played 11 guys tonight. Go down the score. Go down. I'll bet you more than 80% of the teams across the country I'll bet you more than 90% of the teams across the country don't play more than 9 guys in a game. I'll bet you more than 70% don't play more than 8 guys in a game.
And Archie talks about playing less, and yet he still does it.
I'll tell you this right now. I would live with some more mistakes out of Trace Jackson Davis. I would live with some more mistakes out of Justin Smith, Al Durham. I would honestly, I'm going to tell you this, Indiana fans, I don't know that I love the fact that Indiana fans are so hard on Devontae Green. What do you expect out of Devontae Green? He dribbled off his foot tonight. Yes, that was terrible, horrible timing for that turnover. It sucked, and then he went down and gave up a layup. Yes, all that was awful. Now, it's what we want Devontae to come in there and jack the ball up and make some shots. 0 for 4, my biggest problem with that, it's only 4. You know what? He's a scorer. He's a shooter. If you're going to go down 0 for 10.
He's probably about 2 for his last 14, I'd say.
Yeah, I mean, he had 18 points or whatever it was against.
Yeah, but these are a lot of garbage points.
They are. No question. I agree with you. There are a lot of garbage points. The last 2, not this ball game, but the 2 ball games prior to this were both a lot of garbage points. But hey, that's what we get. That's what we expect out of Devontae. Okay? Don't expect anything else. Don't expect him to dribble the ball down the court. Don't expect him to dish off to guys. I don't want him doing that. I want him standing out there. I want somebody to drive down, throw him a pass, and I want him to shoot it.
2 points from the bench, 10 points out.
I believe it. Who got him?
There's Dr. J joining us. Big John Witten, how are you doing, sir? Appreciate you joining us as well. Now Indiana goes on to Nebraska, a team that they've already... They didn't lose to him, but man, they Nebraska knows the keys to this car. They know what it's going to take to get to Indiana, and they're going to have them at home. What does Indiana have to do to play better than they did against Nebraska last time, and way better than they did today against the Scarlet Knights?
Yeah, I mean, the last game with Nebraska is, I mean, those are kind of irrelevant. You can't really compare the two because the flow of the game will be different and all that. Indiana's got to come out and play. I would love to say Indiana, that was a month ago. It was mid-December. I would love to say Indiana's playing a lot better right now than they were then. At times they are, but overall they're not. So, I don't know. They've got to come out and they've got to play the way that they're comfortable, which means I think they'll play better in that game because I think it'll be a more up and down, fast-paced game. Even though they turned it over 16 times in a game when they only scored 50 points. So, this was kind of a slow-down game. I don't think you would call this. You always have these. What are the fast break points? It says Indiana had 19 fast break points. You believe that?
No, it's a lot. It's a high number for Indiana.
I don't remember them.
Maybe they were being generous today.
They're counting some secondary break as fast break points because usually that's just straight up steals going down and laying it in. I mean, I thought that number would be more like 6.
John points out Rutgers tied for second in the Big Ten now. They're not really that bad of a team.
They're not. I don't disagree with that. I'm not basing anything off of what I'm saying right now off of Rutgers. I don't think Indiana shot 2 for 19 from the three-point line because of Rutgers' defense. They had wide open looks. Demezy Anderson was 0 for 4. No one was within 10 feet of him on any shot he took. Wide open, completely wide open.
Bob said that Demezy just missed the team bus. He was only standing 22 feet away from when it left the rack.
I've seen numerous comments on there like that. We've got a lot of funny people about.
Well, at least if we can laugh, that's after a loss like that, instead of being you're getting all bent out of shape about it and moving forward. So Sarah says you have to make your free throws.
Yep,
yeah, you do.
They made them. They just got to get there more. They made 10 for 12 overall. But the number is 10, so that's what you really got to look at. They only made 10 free throws.
First half turnovers, 10. Very, very high. Too high.
16 turnovers overall in this game.
But 10 in the first half.
Yeah, I mean, it's just... Okay, so I said it earlier. I'll say it again. We're 38 minutes into this now.
Brent's in Madison. Hey, Brent.
So think about these stats. They shoot 2 for 19 overall. They only make 10 free throws in the game. 2 for 19 from the three-point line. They were down 12-0 to start the game. They didn't score in the first 5 minutes. They only scored 2 points in the last 6 minutes of the first half. So that's 11 minutes out of 20 right there where they had 2 points. Okay? Then they started the second half for 5 minutes, and they don't score again for the first 5 minutes of the second half. So you take the end of that first half, 6 minutes, 5 minutes in the second half, they don't score. That's 11 minutes, they only score 2 points. And they were down 12-0. How in the world are we even talking about they lost by 9? They should have lost by 59.
It's amazing. I got to give them credit, first of all, for coming back.
They came back and took the lead, 22-21.
Being down 12-0 on the road, I'm like, oh, wow, this does not look good for them.
I thought it was going to be
normally
a real
fold. They have not shown me a lot of strength like that this year. They did. They showed me a lot. And they stayed with them, but they just, at the end of the day, they just did not They did not play smart basketball.
With 5 minutes to go in the first half, they're ahead 22-21. Okay? And end the half down 7, 31-24. Okay? That can't happen. You had fought your way all the way back. I don't care if you have to walk it up the floor and chuck up a three-pointer as the shot clock runs down. You can't all of a sudden be down 7 at halftime. When you fought your way all the way back, you had to be closer. And then you can't start the second half and not score for the first 5 minutes. Those things cannot happen.
Johnson makes a great point. Says when you spend your entire life shooting from a spot 18 inches closer, you won't improve in 6 months. That's true. I mean, it's going to take a while for a lot of these guys to adjust.
Then shoot 2-pointers. I don't need them to shoot 3-pointers. Shoot 2-pointers then. That was my point earlier. They did not make a single basket that was inside the 3-point line, outside the lane. Not one. 0. I can't tell you the last time I remember that being the case. I can't tell you a team that ever happened in.
Shouldn't that be something that's worked on within the confines of their offense?
Calvert Chaney scored 2,500-plus points in the Big Ten, and he wasn't a great three-point shooter.
Right.
He scored from 15 feet.
Right.
And he was deadly. He was a sniper. He would kill you from 15 feet.
Right.
There's not a guy on this team that could even dream of making a 15-foot jumper.
The offense flowed in a manner that provided that.
It's like there's an ocean. It's like there's a moat in between the three-point line and the lane, and our guys can't stay in there very long or they get eaten by a shark.
But why not?
I don't know.
Well, I mean, to me, again, I got to go back and because I know that a lot of people ask. I mean, somebody has to be responsible for that. That it comes down to it. Someone has to take responsibility for either them taking those shots or being allowed to take the shots and not taking them. Somebody's got to step up and say, hey, it's my fault. Either don't take the shot or you're coming out, or take the shot and stay in.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm with you. I know we would all love to say, okay, well, the issue is the players, or the issue is coaching, or the issue is we need better shooters, or we need whatever. And you know, there's probably a little bit of truth into all of those. Like the coaches need to demand that guys shoot certain shots from a particular area. Like maybe they need to. Maybe they need to determine, hey, you know what? Armand is a good mid-range shooter. I mean, I think he's proven. He makes more shots from probably 17 feet than anybody on this team. Al's probably a better 17-foot jump shooter than he is three-point shooter. I'm not saying I've given up on the fact that this team needs to make 9 threes in a game. They're not going to be 9 for 23. It's not going to happen consistently. So I'll give up on the three-pointer. I told you, I conceded the fact that I said all year long this team needs to be able to shoot 20 and make 9. Okay? Well, that's not going to be the case. You've been saying all along you think 10 to 15 at the most is where they should be shooting threes. I agree with you now. Totally agree. They're not capable of being a team that averages more than 23-point attempts in a game. So take the twos. Quit trying to get all the way into the lane and getting your shot blocked. Shoot a 15-footer. What's wrong with that? Live and die by 15 feet away from the basket. It's wide open. Nobody guards that.
Jerome Hunter, Justin Smith, that should be right in their wheelhouse.
Jerome Hunter, I thought he had his mindset of trying to go to the basket. He drove in a couple times tonight at least. His basket that he scored was off of an offensive rebound putback. But at least I thought, but what he did in the Ohio State game, he cut down the lane and caught passes and got fouled. He played with his back to the basket, got fouled, got to the free throw line. He didn't do those things again tonight. And that's where I want him. shoot as many fadeaway jumpers as you can that you started out in the lane. I don't care how many there are. He's good at that shot.
Dr. J thinks that Hunter looked afraid to shoot outside the second half. The coaches must have ripped his butt.
They should. He shouldn't shoot from the outside. He should be afraid to shoot from the outside. So should Demezy.
James joins us. James Cockrell, how are you, sir? Lost his. Yeah. Mark says Todd is so good at analyzing. Really miss him on IU with Don. He probably should be our coach.
Yeah, I agree. Let's start a petition.
Well, like you said, we pretty much have beat this.
Yeah, I mean, I hate to be that way, but
well, it's the truth. I mean, there's only so much to talk about when it comes to this particular game. Now, coming up next, you've got a game traveling to Lincoln, Nebraska, and it's a game that we know is going to be tough because Nebraska's playing better than they were earlier in the season, and they played Indiana tough then. They beat Purdue on the road. They have had games they've played tough since then, and they're coached very well. So this is another team that Indiana better look out for. They could have 2 losses on this road trip.
No doubt about it. I mean, we've said that they needed to, steal a game on the road here. This one wouldn't even be really stealing one. They should win this ball game. They're better than Nebraska, but I'm not sure they're playing better than Nebraska. But they're better. They're more talented. They've got better players. They've got a better system. They've got a better overall scheme. You got to execute it at some point. And if they go in there and only make 10 free throws, and they only have 6 assists, and they shoot 2 for anything from the 3-point line, they won't win.
Usually does not happen. We want to thank everybody, of course, Nathan Finney, the Finney Hospitality Group, Chris Allen, all the guys from Yogi's. We can't thank everybody that works here. They're always so great. They take care of us and do a wonderful, wonderful job. Make sure you stop by if you haven't already, because we're here after every game, though. After the game with Todd Leary comes to you live from Yogi's. And it's brought to you by Best Beer Incorporated of Bloomington. Have yourself a nice ice cold Budweiser or Bud Light or whatever the case may be along those manners. But we appreciate those guys as well. We're back again live, of course, Monday morning with Indiana Sports Beat with Coyle Leary back on the radio in Indiana.
Tomorrow morning.
That's
Monday morning, yes, we will be there, but Thursday morning we'll be there.
The days in my head are just gone.
I know, it seems like a weekend.
It is wild, yeah. And then, of course, Indiana back on the road Saturday. Yep. We'll be back here Saturday night. So we got a lot to get to. Yeah, back on the air tomorrow morning. I hate saying that, but you can listen to it whenever you want. Podcast, wherever you like. If you listen via podcast, of course, on the radio in Evansville, on the Ref 97.7. Also in down in Tell City and Marengo. The Brough, WBRO 89.9. But you can listen to us anywhere you like. We appreciate it, but we can't thank you enough for joining us here after the game with Todd Leary. Todd, any final thoughts?
Nope. Hope we have more to talk about. Hope we have more positive things to talk about on Saturday.
Look to it. I appreciate everybody for joining us here tonight. We appreciate you guys. Dwight Mulch, man, I wish you hadn't joined us so late. We're on the way out, but good seeing everybody. Hope you guys had a great day, and until tomorrow, I will see you on the radio.